The current phase of tensions between Iran and Israel has entered a level of intensity that many analysts now describe as a transition from shadow conflict into a form of open confrontation. This development is not only significant for the Middle East, but also for global security architecture. For years, both sides have engaged in indirect engagements, cyber operations, and limited strikes designed to avoid full-scale war. However, the recent escalation suggests a shift in both intent and tolerance for risk. As military exchanges become more visible and sustained, the question facing observers is no longer whether escalation is possible, but how far it might go, and what the broader consequences could be for international stability. The escalation appears to have begun with a series of coordinated airstrikes targeting military facilities and strategic infrastructure within Iranian territory. These operations were widely interpreted as an attempt to degrade Iran's defensive capabilities, disrupt its logistical networks, and send a signal of deterrence. Initial assessments suggested that such strikes could significantly weaken Tehran's ability to project power in the near term. However, the response that followed challenged that assumption. Iran launched a large-scale counterattack involving hundreds of ballistic missiles and unmanned aerial systems aimed at key locations in Israel and other strategic points across the region. What makes this response particularly notable is not only its scale, but also its structure. The attacks were reportedly conducted in multiple waves, from different directions, and with varying flight profiles. This suggests a level of logistical preparation and tactical coordination that reflects years of investment in missile and drone capabilities. By saturating defensive systems with simultaneous threats, the strategy appears designed to test the limits of interception technologies and create gaps in coverage. This raises an important analytical question: to what extent can even advanced air defense systems maintain effectiveness under sustained, multi-vector pressure? On the other side, Israel continues to demonstrate a high level of technological sophistication in its defensive and offensive operations. Its missile interception systems have reportedly succeeded in neutralizing a significant portion of incoming threats, while precision strikes have targeted weapons depots, supply routes, and key military personnel associated with Iran's strategic infrastructure. These actions indicate a dual approach: immediate defense against incoming attacks, combined with longer-term efforts to disrupt the opponent's operational capacity and command structure. Yet, even with these capabilities, the scale and persistence of incoming threats create a complex operational environment where absolute protection is difficult to guarantee. This dynamic has resulted in what some analysts describe as a relatively balanced confrontation, at least in the short term. Neither side appears to have achieved decisive dominance, and both continue to demonstrate the ability to inflict and absorb damage. In such a scenario, the risk of miscalculation becomes a central concern. If one side interprets a defensive action as an offensive escalation, or if a strike unintentionally hits a highly sensitive target, the conflict could expand beyond its current boundaries. This leads to another critical question: what mechanisms, if any, remain in place to prevent unintended escalation? The human dimension of this conflict is equally significant. Civilian populations on both sides are experiencing disruptions to daily life, with warning sirens, emergency protocols, and the constant need to seek shelter becoming part of routine existence. Infrastructure damage and psychological stress contribute to a broader humanitarian impact that extends beyond immediate casualties. While military strategies often focus on capabilities and objectives, the long-term consequences for civilian resilience and social stability are harder to measure but no less important. The involvement of external actors adds another layer of complexity. The United States, while not directly engaged in frontline combat, is reported to be providing intelligence support and coordination to Israel. At the same time, there appears to be a clear effort to avoid full-scale military involvement, likely due to concerns about triggering a wider regional or even global conflict. This balancing act reflects broader strategic priorities, where supporting an ally must be weighed against the risks of escalation. Meanwhile, global reactions remain divided. Many Western countries have expressed support for Israel's right to defend itself, while other major powers, including Russia and China, have taken different positions that emphasize restraint and alternative diplomatic approaches. This divergence highlights existing fractures in the international system, where consensus on conflict management is increasingly difficult to achieve. The implications of this divide extend beyond the immediate conflict, influencing global governance, alliance structures, and crisis response mechanisms. Economic consequences are also becoming more visible. Fluctuations in oil prices, driven by concerns over supply disruptions in a critical energy-producing region, are affecting global markets. Even the perception of instability can lead to increased volatility, impacting everything from transportation costs to inflation rates in distant economies. This underscores how regional conflicts can quickly translate into global economic challenges, raising questions about resilience and preparedness in interconnected systems. Looking ahead, several scenarios emerge. One possibility is a controlled de-escalation, where both sides reduce the intensity of their operations while maintaining a posture of deterrence. Another scenario involves continued exchanges at the current level, creating a prolonged period of instability without clear resolution. A more concerning outcome would be a significant escalation triggered by a major incident, potentially drawing in additional actors and expanding the geographic scope of the conflict. Each of these scenarios carries different implications for regional and global security. In reflecting on the current situation, it becomes clear that the conflict between Iran and Israel is no longer confined to isolated incidents or indirect engagements. It represents a complex and evolving confrontation with implications that extend far beyond the immediate region. Understanding this development requires careful attention to military capabilities, strategic intentions, and the broader geopolitical context. At the same time, it is important to approach the issue with a focus on factual analysis and long-term perspective. Rapid developments and incomplete information can lead to misinterpretation, making it essential to rely on verified sources and measured assessments. As the situation continues to evolve, the key question remains not only how the conflict will unfold, but also how the international community will respond to prevent further escalation. Ultimately, this is a moment that highlights the fragility of global stability in the face of regional tensions. While no single outcome is predetermined, the choices made by the actors involved, as well as by external stakeholders, will play a critical role in shaping the trajectory of this conflict. This video is created strictly for educational, analytical, and discussion purposes based on publicly available information. It does not intend to support, promote, or justify any form of military action, violence, or armed conflict. The analysis presented here is derived from open-source intelligence, international media reporting, and general strategic studies. Some elements of the narrative may use cinematic or illustrative language to support visual understanding and do not represent classified or operational facts. The perspectives shared do not represent any government, institution, or organization.